If you're someone who's considering putting solar tiles on your house and using a power purchase agreement, you're in the right place. I'm a attorney with 25 years experience in banking, finance, mergers and acquisitions, and I'm going to analyze one of these contracts for you. So I'll start off with the disclaimers. This is not legal advice. I'm a lawyer, but I'm not your lawyer. What I'm going to do here is go over a standard contract and allow you to look over my shoulder while I analyze it and tell you things to look out for and things that you should consider. And once you know that, you can talk that over with your actual attorney and use that to negotiate with the company that is offering to put solar on your roof. So use this for educational and informational purposes. But, check with your accountant, check with your lawyer. This is just general information and it's not specific to you. So as I analyze this, hopefully you'll understand the terms, and through understanding that, you'll determine which parts of that are important to you and what you can negotiate and how. And let's get going. So we're going to use today the Residential Power Purchase Agreement that was drafted by the Solar Access to Public Capital, and SAPC is a group of 200 different organizations that are involved in solar. So power producers, power sellers, lawyers, nonprofit groups, anything you can name, 200 different groups. And the agreement is sort of a best practices thing that a lot of different people use, and they sort of tailor to their own needs. And the agreement that you sign will probably look something like this, and you'll see where it's different and they've changed it, and if you should negotiate it back. And we'll start at the top, and we'll do about 20 minutes today, and then we'll keep doing that until we go through the whole thing. I'll put different videos up. So as I said, standard agreement, and here they would add the terms. So the installation cost is what the whole thing would cost. Now, generally, if this is a power purchase agreement, they would pay for the whole thing and they would keep all the tax credits. And you're usually better off either leasing or buying the panels yourself and getting all the tax credit. But through one of these power purchase agreement, the person installing it is the one that will own the panels, and they will get the full tax credit. So under the Biden tax credits, you would get a 30% credit on the cost of the installation and the equipment. So if this was a $30,000 roof, 30,000 times 0.3, you would get a $9,000 tax credit, which you'd be able to use that year. And if you had bought these panels yourself, you would get the credit. But since the person installing it and selling you the power is the owner, they would get that tax credit. So that's the installation cost. Prepayment. So generally you can prepay some of this and you would get a lower price for power. And you'll see this a lot more often in commercial contracts, not necessarily in residential. But if you prepay, you can get a lower rate. And why would you see that a lot in commercial? It's because a lot of companies have a lower cost of capital than the person installing the solar. A lot of these solar companies are startups and they have a pretty high cost of capital. And if you are a business that's been around a long time, you probably have a lower cost of capital, especially if you're dealing with companies like Google, which actually have a negative cost of capital and are committed to green energy and want to power their data centers with green energy. And you might be wondering, well, how would somebody have a negative cost of capital? And I will pick a different company. There's a Korean company called Coupang, which is like Amazon of Korea. And they are a fast-growing company, and they typically pay their suppliers in 90 days, and they sell their inventory in 30 days. So their cost of capital, just based on that, would be zero. And because that 60-day window, they can also invest the money and make more than zero. Their cost of capital is negative. So if you're dealing with a company that has a high cost of capital because it's a startup, and you're dealing with a company with a negative cost of capital, it might be worth it to them to prepay and get a lower price rate for the electricity than it would for the installer to borrow money and finance this themselves. And as I said, this is far more common in commercial agreements than residential, but since this is a sample contract that's in there. And this is also going to vary by state, where it would be more common in some states than others. And why is that? Because depending on which state you're in, if you pay for electricity, it is either a service or a good, depending on what state you're in. So some states consider it prepayment of electrical, you're prepaying for goods, and some consider it you're prepaying for a service. And why would that matter? If the provider goes bankrupt and you're in a state where prepayment of electricity is considered prepayment of goods, you're much more likely to get that back than if it's considered prepayment of a service, in which case you'll get in line with all the other creditors. So that's why that prepayment thing is there. And the electricity rate is what you would pay per kilowatt hour. And let's see, what else here? Most of this is going to be down at the bottom. Agreement term, 20 years. This is very long. And this was far more common when solar was gaining popularity. You would see 20 years. Sometimes you might even see 25 years. But nowadays, it's much more likely you'll see 10 years, 8 years. This is definitely something you can negotiate, and 20 years is on the high end. So here are some of the agreements. They are going to maintain and repair the system, including the inverter at no cost to you. It's because they own it. And the panels are actually very cheap, and the inverter is very expensive. Since the inverter is very expensive, it's probably something that you would want to have included in the maintenance and repair, because it's the most expensive part of the system. And if you are on the hook for that and you don't own the system, I don't think that would be such a good deal for you. And there are systems like Tesla, which have solar panels and a big inverter, and I don't think that's the best way to go. There are other systems that are, in my opinion, better, like Enphase or First Solar, where each panel has a little microinverter. And why is that important? If you have all the panels and you have one big inverter, it's one big point of failure. And if your inverter goes out, then you don't have any electricity. All your panels are useless. However, if you have a system like Enphase or First Solar, where each panel has its own little microinverter, if the microinverter goes bad on one of those panels, all your other panels still work and you still have electricity. Whereas a system like Tesla, where you have the panels and one big inverter, if the big inverter goes, you have no power until the come and replace that inverter. And you probably would have backup power through the grid, but you wouldn't have this supposedly free electricity or low-cost electricity until they repair that. And here, the rate of increase. This is something that you should watch out for, because a lot of companies under these multi-year power purchase agreements will raise it by a certain amount a year. It might be 2%, might be a little more than that. But depending on the state where you live, the average that your electricity bill goes up is probably a lot less than that. So even with inflation, in most states that I've seen, electricity rates tend to go up about 1.2% a year. So if they're quoting you a lower rate under this power purchase agreement for 20 years, and in your area, the electricity has gone up 1% or 1.2% a year, and they're raising this 2 or 2.5% per year, eventually the lower price that they're quoting you for electricity, which looked like a really big bargain, you're going to end up paying more than you would through the electric company, and that would go on for 20 years. So that's definitely something you want to keep an eye on, and it's something that you should negotiate. And there's plenty of people installing these, especially under a power purchase agreement, which, as I said, tends to be in the installer's favor. So it's something you want to think about and negotiate. And here, if you move, transfer, the purchaser of your home is going to have to assume the agreement. So the agreement is on the equipment, but the equipment is on your house. So you can't sell the house without transferring the agreement, which could cause a big problem. And what if the person buying your house does not have as good credit as you, and the person operating the system does not want to transfer it to them? What are you going to do? Well, I guess you would have to buy them out, and there's a portion later on in the agreement where they should have the price that you would pay to be able to buy them out. And that's something to consider, because if you just wanted a quick sale and the company does not want to transfer this, you're going to have to buy them out, and it's going to add time, it's going to add cost. And on something like this is definitely where you want to look at the formula where they would determine the price that you would buy them out at, because if it's very disadvantageous to buy them out, then you're sort of eating into your profits from selling the house. You'll also see at certain times specified in the agreement, you may purchase the system, and some of them will let you purchase it anytime after 6 years, and some of them will say you can only purchase it on these dates. One is 6 years, one is 15 years, one is 20. And why is that important? Because they tend to, especially for these residential contracts, they get a lot of them and they package them together and sell them to somebody. And if you could cancel at any time, then that sort of interferes with the stream of payments that they are selling to a purchaser who wants a guaranteed fixed income stream of payments. So definitely look at the time that you have to purchase the system, because as I said, the person purchasing the pool of these will want a pool of fixed income from people of a certain credit profile, and that might keep it from being transferred if the person buying your house does not have the same credit that you do. So at the end of 20 years, they're going to either take the system out, you can upgrade it to the new system, and again, they're going to extend that for another 5, 10, 20 years, or you can purchase them at the fair market value, which is specified in the agreement. But keep in mind that if this is a 20-year agreement, you're going to be buying a 20-year-old system, and there's probably going to be a lot better system out there at the time. So it's something to consider. And also, even if you're purchasing the equipment, roofs don't last forever. So your solar is on top of a 20-year-old roof, which may have to be replaced. So something to consider. And of course, you can renew the agreement. And the intro, this seems pretty simple. They're going to sell you power at a certain amount, and it's covered by a warranty, which is under Exhibit 2. And we'll take a quick look at that because I think it's important. So if you're not a lawyer and you've never drafted contracts, contract terms are in the beginning of the contract, and at the end of the contract, they'll have something called exhibits and schedules. And exhibits are things that are standardized, like if you want to cancel, see Exhibit 1 and then use this form to cancel. And schedules are something that you see more in mergers and acquisitions, like I used to do, but wouldn't be relevant here. But anyway, so if you are a homeowner and you're looking at this and they are telling you it comes with a warranty, because salespeople will tell you anything, let's look at this warranty and what you get with it. So it's a limited warranty, and they guarantee that it will be installed correctly, yada, yada. And here is what you get with it. So under normal use and conditions, the system will be free from defects and workmanship. That's fine. But the system is going to be on your roof. And if they installed it incorrectly or something goes wrong with your roof, who has to pay? Almost every system, they're going to have to drill holes in your roof to install. Almost every system, they're going to have to drill holes in your roof to install the panels. Some have a system where they kind of hang on, but almost all the rest of them, they're going to have to drill holes in your roof. And if they drill holes in your roof, bad things can happen in terms of water. So they say that after they install this, they're going to guarantee it for any damage that they cause from roof penetrations. And once it's installed, the roof warranty will be the longer of 1 year after they install it, or the length of the existing installation of the home builder. So let's say you bought a new house and they tell you that it has a roof warranty and the PPA person installs the solar panel, and they tell you it's got the longer of 1 year or the roof warranty period. Well, what's the roof warranty period? I would check when you buy your house, but generally they will tell you it's 10 years, but it's not 10 years. Generally, the roof warranty period on these new build constructions are 10 years for the structural part and 2 years for the stuff on top. So if the timber breaks on a truss, that would be 10 years because that is something structural. And if the tiles or the roofing material leaks because of something they did, that's only a 2-year, sometimes a 1-year warranty. And so if you bought the house 3 years ago, nothing on top of the roof would be covered, and the only thing covered for 10 years would be the structural stuff. So when this company will install the solar panels on your roof and they say it's the longer of 1 year or the builder's warranty, it will probably be 1 year. And another thing to consider is, you definitely have to vet the person installing it, because if there's a problem with it, your house is 3 years old, they put the roof panels, and then all of a sudden it starts leaking. And then they say, well, this is a problem with the roof that your builder put in. And the builder says, no, this is because they poked holes in it. Who's going to pay for that? So definitely vetting of the provider is something that you need to thoroughly consider and vet. So what about the repairs? Remember, these are their panels, not yours. So they put them on and they're selling you electricity, but they're still their panels. So they will repair the panels when they're defective and bad workmanship, and it's not producing power. They can do these repairs, but they will use reconditioned parts, which are cheaper. And if they're making repairs or replacements, so on some of these roofs, when people don't want them anymore and they take the old stuff off, they have a bunch of pieces laying around. Maybe they'll use some of them for your roof. That's fine. If you don't like that, that's something here that you can negotiate. And it says that they will also upgrade parts of the system when needed. But the important thing here for you is that cosmetic repairs that don't affect performance aren't covered. So if they install it on your roof and the tracks that it's on start rusting or anything like that, and it looks terrible, that's not covered because that's cosmetic. So that's something to consider and negotiate if it's important to you. And these two are pretty standard, but if you sold your house, then the person that bought the house will get the existing PPA, and they get the same protections as you do, which would be repairs that would affect the viability of the system, but not cosmetic repairs. And as I said, they can use reconditioned or used parts. And this is a guarantee that the system will operate within certain parameters, and they're going to give you software to monitor that. And why is that important? Because they are agreeing under the PPA to sell you the electricity that's produced by your system, and there's usually a minimum. And if you use less than that, then it gets sold back to the power company. And if you use more than that, then you're taking from the grid. So if this is not producing as much power as it should, you're buying more electricity from the power company, and you're not getting your end of the bargain. So that's why you want this monitoring software, which will tell you how much the system is producing versus how much they told you it was produced. And if there's some discrepancy in that, then you can contact the installer and have them fix it. And this regards the output. So during the first 10 years, they say that the power produced shall not decrease by more than 15%. And why is that? So cars don't last forever, houses don't last forever, solar panels don't last forever, and they degrade over time. And the first 10 years, you should expect to be getting still about 85% of what you were getting when it was installed, which should be what it was rated for. And that will decrease over time, but if it shouldn't decrease by more than 15%. And if it does, you can claim on the warranty and have them fix it or give you a credit. And this is generic because different companies will use different monitoring software. And when you get this agreement, it will be tailored to whatever that software would be. And when you have to make a claim because of when you have to make a claim because the amount produced is less than what was claimed, or it's degraded by more than 15% in 10 years, then you would make a claim using this process, which send an email to the address at section 7 below. And here's section 7 where you would send notices. And if you sell the house, the warranty transfers to whoever buys it. And I'll start another video and we'll go over the rest of this, but I'm going a little long today. So like and subscribe, and I will post more videos going through the rest of this agreement. We'll go through about 20 minutes a day, and you can look over my shoulder as I analyze this, and leave a comment if you have any specific questions. So I think for most people, solar is a great option, especially if you own the panels, and depending on what area of the country you live in, it can be a great deal, a good deal, or a so-so deal. And the people installing it definitely have not helped things, because it was a gold rush, and you had very legitimate, very trustworthy people, and you also had a lot of fly-by-night operations and signing people into questionable contracts. So I hope by reviewing this and allowing you to look over my shoulder, you'll feel more comfortable with the process and know what kind of questions to ask. So once again, any specific questions, just leave them below, and like and subscribe, and I'll post more of this. Thanks.